I'm curious about the set that you filmed those little introductions on. What was the thinking behind the set? Who designed it? Why was it designed that certain way?
I don't know the guy's name, but there was a guy in New York, and he actually lives in a loft. This was based on his loft in New York that he lives in. And he, I don't know where they found him, but the people that put our little piece together, the channel together, were also the guys that helped put the AMC together originally. And I think that after AMC was put together kind of on a shoestring and it turned out to be very successful, I think they kind of realized that it was when they had a chance to do this for Turner to put the channel together, that it was difficult to go from, say, a set of a kind of a simple little man's living room with a projector on a table into an MGM movie or a Fox movie that had these great sets and these great, all these accoutrements around.
Yeah.
So I think they realized they had to class it up a bit, make it so it wouldn't be so jarring, to have a little more elegant setting and everything like that. So I think that's when they got the idea of basing it on a kind of upper scale loft in New York City.
Yeah.
So that's what the whole concept of it was.
And do you feel comfortable in that setting? You look like you were born to
I
live
do.
on that set.
I do. I mean, I've spent so much time on that set now. It does almost seem like home. And it's wonderful because it's a four-sided set. They can take walls out, so we can, get cameras swooping in and everything like that. So it's a complete. There's one door there that we don't know where the hell the door goes to. I think it's a dungeon that I've got somebody locked up down there.
For your final episode, you can walk through that door and see what's
But it's a comfortable set, and it works well because the couches are comfortable to sit on, places for the camera to move and everything like that. So, I'm very happy there.
And how do you decide what to say? I mean, you know so much about so many movies, and you're given, a couple minutes to do a little setup.
Well, the first one, they just found recently, the first one I ever did was our first movie on the air was Gone with the Wind, but the first one we ever did was to a movie called Blossoms in the Dust with Greer Garson and Walter Pidgeon. And I go on talking so long, and it must be like 5 minutes, and I remember that's when we realized that was too long to talk about. And the guy that was running the channel said, just remember, we're going to show these movies a second time. You don't have to sell everything you know about this movie the first time out. So that was the big adjustment. Then we kind of got it down to kind of a rhythm. We figure that people will listen for about 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, and then they want to get on to the movie.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to lose them. You're talking too often. And when they come out of the movie, it's for about a minute or a minute and a half. But what's fun, and that's the great challenge for me, is figuring out what to say that's going to be different, because we never repeat the same script.
Yeah.
And what is it you have to talk about to set this movie up? Because you don't have to sell people on Singing in the Rain or Casablanca or Gone with the Wind, but there are a lot of movies we have that you really, to get somebody to want to watch it, you really have to set it up properly, when it was made or what was going on in the actor's life, or what happened on the set, something like that. And that's the kind of fun part, is finding new things to talk about. But there are always new books coming out, new or people that you meet that had something to do with the film, and you can get more information about it. But I love that part of it. It's like piecing together a great mystery to be able to do that.
Oh yeah, I mean it works fantastic.
Great.
I love the.
And also, I have to tell you, I have like 3 people that I'm talking to on that when I do it. I haven't. One of them is not alive anymore, but was when I started. But I think of an aunt that I have that lived on a farm near Colfax, Washington, and she loved movies but didn't know much about them. So I talked to her. I have a friend, Robert Osborne, in Chicago, who knows everything about movies. So I want to at least interest him enough to keep watching, so it's not going to be too academic to him. Then there's a guy I worked with at the Hollywood Reporter who was like 23 at the time, who didn't really know anything about movies, but was open to it. So I'm trying to talk to him. So in the introductions, I'm trying to say things like, if I mention L.B. Mayer, I'm not going to assume that my aunt would know that he ran MGM Studios. So I want to say L.B. Mayer, who was the head of MGM Studios, and all that. So I don't leave her in the dark. So that's kind of the tricky part. But I try to think of those 3 people. Somebody with a lot of knowledge, somebody with no knowledge, and somebody with a little knowledge but would like to know more.
And how many takes do you have to go through
Well,
for those?
I've gotten down to where I can do it within one take.
Is that
Not always, but
that doesn't surprise me. I mean, it comes off so smooth.
good. I'm glad about that. But we also we do 150 in a week, 150 intros and 150 exits. So
Wow.
I have to get, I have to be able to plow kind of right through them.
That's incredible.
Then we have a lady who just takes care of the clothes, so she knows what clothes I would be wearing, so that I'm in the same suit. One evening I'm in the same suit throughout the whole thing, even though I'm not shooting them all at the same time.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
but
that's-
there's somebody that handles all of that.
Yeah.
So all I have to really concentrate on is the material.
Yeah. So let's talk about why you're here in Seattle. I understand that you're getting some that the festival is honoring you in some
they're
way.
honoring TCM.
TCM.
And yes, and I'm here to pick up an award for TCM. At the same time, they asked me to pick 4 classic films and come and introduce them.
Yeah.
So these are 4 films that 3 of them are films that people maybe have seen a lot or know well, but I want them to see them and pick them because the value is so different seeing them on a big screen,
Yeah.
and also seeing them sharing that experience with other people.
Uh-huh.
Also, I think that one thing about TCM is that even though you're sitting alone watching TCM at your house maybe, so often I will stick and watch something, maybe say, if you're seeing Singing in the Rain is coming on, I may have a DVD of Singing in the Rain right over my shoulder. There's something about watching it on TCM because others are watching it at the same time. Well, the experience in a movie theater is that heightened because you're sitting actually and you can hear them. You're sitting next to them, they're laughing at the same time you are, they're applauding, they're having the same experience. And there's something great about seeing it on the big screen because that's the way it was really meant to be seen. So,
can you rattle off the 4 films
Sure.
and why you happen to choose
The
them?
Adventures of Robin Hood, which is one of the great adventure films of all time.
Errol
For
Flynn.
any age.
Yep.
Errol Flynn, Olivia de Havilland, dazzling Technicolor. It's just like a comic book come to life. It's great. The Third Man, which is one of the great, not film noir, but one of the great mystery films of all time with a towering performance by Orson Welles, who's only in it for very few scenes, but
Yeah.
just dominates the film, and it's a great mystery. Movie called Sunset Boulevard, which is one of maybe the best movie ever done about Hollywood,
Yeah.
which says so much about Hollywood, but it's also great performances. And it's one of those movies that you watch 3 minutes, the first 3 minutes, you cannot leave it. If it's on TV, whatever. It's like the book, page turner in a book. Great. And then a movie that a lot of people don't know, that doesn't
Yeah.
sound all that fascinating. William Wyler directed it in 1936 called Dodsworth, based on a very popular novel at that time that became a stage play with Walter Huston, who most people know today as the old man in Treasure of the Sierra Madre, or as John Huston's father, or Angelica's grandfather.
Yes.
But it's a movie that we showed at Telluride 2 years ago, and the year that Babel was out and King of Scotland, all these films, and it turned out to be the great hit of the festival. So much so that we had to show it 3 times.
Wow.
And had standing room only crowds each time. But it's a great drama, has such a great important story that's still relevant today. But it is something that I think that would open a lot of people's eyes to a film in 1936 that's well made, could still resonate and seem so modern today.